Hello and welcome to another episode of Music by Ordinary People. I'm your host, Tony B, along with
KB Music, man.
Thank you for joining us today. Music by Ordinary People is brought to you by Redeemed and Associates, a 501c3 nonprofit located here in Columbia, South Carolina. If you would like to be a part of this podcast, send us a WAV file format video to boobayrecords@gmail.com. If you just have some more questions, you can also email us at boobayrecords@gmail.com. I'm going to take the time to say right now that KB the Music Man is working up something for the holidays. I want y'all to get excited about it because I think it's going to be great. We are excited again for you to join us for Music by Ordinary People because we believe that there are so many ordinary people who still have a song in their heart. Our special guest today is Mr. Bugsy Calhoun. How you doing,
up,
brother?
my friend?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Doing
we
great.
We
Doing
good.
great.
We good. It's
Thank you
good
for
to be in
coming.
the land of the living, as they say.
Yes. I would know that.
Yeah.
I got a testimony.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
It's funny that you say that because I was listening to the Clark sisters this morning and they was talking about the testimony thing, and I was like, the Clark sisters be turning it out.
You can't beat
They
them.
just straight up be turning it out. So anyway, we're gonna start with tell us a little bit about you.
Here's a Cleveland Notes version. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
All right. All right.
Born and raised. Lived there for 24 years. I was raised by my mother. My father was incarcerated the majority of my life. My mother was a businesswoman, and entire life we shared on this world. So she's kind of like the blueprint of why I do what I do and why I am who I am.
Okay.
I moved to South Carolina in 2002, shortly after the towers fell. Just looking for a place to move away where a possibility where my son was coming into the world.
Okay.
And I didn't want to have I came into a relationship that had a 3-year-old little girl.
Okay.
So I'm a father of a 29, soon to be 29, and a 20-year-old.
All right.
Wow.
I've moved here. I've been doing music since I was 12 yeyears old, rapping. And then started writing poetry. I debuted as a poet at the Brooklyn Moon in New York City, Brooklyn on Fulton Street in 2000. We moved here in 2002. And then I started doing poetry here in Columbia 2007.
So what made you kind of go into the poetry side? Your interest?
I just expressing myself. I consider myself to be a lyricist.
Okay.
And I the definition or the reason what I consider rap and what I consider poetry, they're related, but they're not the same thing.
Correct.
There's poetry in rap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has to be content.
Right.
So instead of speaking about frivolous or just any old thing, which is rap, speaking on things that have more content.
And I don't mean to laugh because I think we see things as they are, and it is what it is. So with the poetry, did you do any formal things in school to get into poetry, or just
I've
you
been
just
a mass
picked it up
comm
yourself?
major since I was 9 years old. So I've been working with documentaries, working with pretty much my mother handed me a camera and she handed my cousin a toolbox. And my cousin works with sheet metal. He's been a sheet metalist, God knows, as long as I've known him to be. He went to Grady, and I've always been a person who rapped, who wrote, who did comedy when I was a kid, did little skits, wanted to walk like George Jefferson.
I was gonna get to that and say, when you were a child, what was the first thing that you started doing that built up to where you are now?
I think my mother just recognized that I was always a person that wanted to make somebody smile and entertain somebody, and I always had something to say. My mantra when I was young, I had the mind of Martin and the heart of Malcolm. And, and I read a lot when I was young too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, autobiography of Malcolm X, Eyes on the Prize.
Okay.
So I'm a person who's very steeped in my history.
Okay.
And I learned a lot from my elders as well.
So do you add any of that into your rap or your poetry
Yes,
when you do those?
I'm very much knowledgeable, and I acknowledge where I come from, and like the B word. I don't even want to say it, but the B word. I have a cousin, an older cousin who lived in Harlem. She threatened me if I ever used it in my music. I don't even use it in my everyday language.
Right.
I mean, my cousin. I mean, I was like literally my cousin was like, they were old, like they was up in age. So
Gotcha.
I try my best not to use profane language. I mean, I do, but it's in its contents.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the N word. It's in its contents. Like
Right.
I can't even accept being called the N word.
Right.
I got you.
It to be called, I feel offended because I know the history.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
And I think it's incumbent upon us to know that history, so that we can correct ourselves. Even if we're doing it, we can correct ourselves at some point.
Right.
So I think it's great that you take the history and you use it and do a positive message with it.
Nobody's gonna know if we don't speak on what's going on.
That's true.
That's true.
That is true.
There's a lot of things that's occurred that, like for instance, and doing my new project that's out, it's called Bars and Stanzas. One of the songs called Reconstruction.
Okay.
And I watched a documentary. I was watching a lot of the documentaries on PBS not too long ago, and I watched the history of Reconstruction.
Okay. Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff wasn't covered in 10th grade.
Okay.
Because I called a high school friend of mine, and I was like, I said, bro, I said, you remember when we was in high school? You remember when they was talking about Reconstruction? He said, yeah, they talked about it briefly. And I was like, I don't even remember all of this. I didn't know that we had senators, we had businessmen, because I seen a debate with Candace Owens, Killer Mike, and T.I. And Candace Owens said one of the greatest periods of our history was Reconstruction.
Right. I think I saw that a little bit. Yeah, I think I saw that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's she's a different kind of lady.
She
I'll
is.
just put it like
Yeah.
that.
But
and now what I will say is there's some people who say they need to shut up. The reality is we need to hear all sides.
Right.
While we may not agree with some of the things she said, we need to hear all sides because it makes us think. For me, I don't want to use the word criticism, but I will say that when people challenge you on something, then it gives you time and it gives you opportunity to understand really what it is that you're doing too, because you may see it one way, another person may see it another way, and so when people comment on those things, it makes us take a deeper look.
We're living in
right or wrong.
No, but we live in Killer Mike doubled down on what she was saying, and I was like, okay, let me find out what Reconstruction was, and then when I seen the documentary, truth is the light.
Right.
So my mind and my heart became illuminated.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yet disgusted because as much progress as we were making at that period in time, can you imagine if
that continued
and we didn't have the terrorist actions that came right afterwards? Right. It's like so many different atrocities that happened to a people and in the timeline of a country's history. So if we do not speak these things, these young folks people don't know.
That's true.
So like working in DJJ for the time I was here, and I told the kids about bucking.
Right.
And they didn't know what bucking was.
Right.
They had no idea, no clue.
Right.
So I said, I was like, we knuck if we buck. I said, well, you know where the connotation of the word comes from. And then when I explained it to them, it wasn't like they didn't use the word, but now they understood where it comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think knowledge always expands our horizon.
Yes.
Expands our and so as you said earlier, you said you use some of those things in your portrait. So what are you doing right now?
I'm all over the place. I just did a show last night at Main Course for the Love of Hip Hop with Mike Stone.
That's in downtown.
That's downtown 1626 Main Street.
Okay. And are you a regular there? Will you be coming back again?
I mean, anything Mike Stone does, I'm with. Like, I'm a person who's a loyal person.
Okay.
You know, I am. If you rock with me, I rock with you, and then we have a mindset that's similar to put on good shows and entertain folk. Okay. Some personal things can be addressed and let go as well, because entertainment and personal stuff is not. They don't always go hand in hand.
Right. So I know I met you at a few years ago. You performed at our church, First Northeast Baptist. So since then, I mean, do you have any content where the audience can purchase?
I have 5 albums on. I have 5 projects on band. I'm so old school. I'll be saying albums. 5 projects on Bandcamp. I'd rather say projects than albums.
Gotcha.
Because for me, like, album is vinyl coming out of that white sleeve.
Yes, sir.
Or opening up that case.
Those well.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? For me, that's album. But I got 5 projects on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp?
www.bandcamp.com. It's in the beginning, it was The Word, Miles to Go Before I Sleep, Elephant in the Room, Beast, which is Best Ever as Spoken Thought, and then The Day of Infamy, which is my birthday, Pearl Harbor. And I have a project that's out right now called Bars and Stanzas. It's on all social media platforms.
Okay.
All beats are cleared. Everything that's on this project is mine that I own. A lot of the other projects were done in like some mixtape style, so I didn't release them on every platform because there were samples and things that didn't get cleared. So I just did it as a mixtape. With some original content, and all the content that I'm speaking is original.
Okay.
But some of the instrumentation may not be something that I own.
So what's your writing process?
I write all the time. I write in my head. A lot of the pieces I've written have been when I've been at work. I wrote my most famous piece, Nostalgia, when I was at DJJ. I wrote a lot of poems at the federal building when I worked there, U.S. Attorney's office when I worked there, Alvin S. Glenn when I worked there. When you have to
get a lot of stuff out of
it's just the downtime. It's downtime. It's just and then some pieces come as I'm building, like my wife, we wrote a lot, like a lot of my erotic pieces we wrote, and just having conversation, and we'll say something and then we'll write it down. It comes to me all the time, but I'm always constantly thinking. A lot of people think they're like, are you bored if they see me quiet? But a lot of times I'm reminiscing over things, or I'm mulling over things, and then I start working out words. Being a lyricist, because I really be trying to say something that hasn't been said before.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound stale at 43 years old. I don't want to be the old rapper.
I would have put 43 on you. I really would.
Yeah, well, I thank you for that. And I just don't want to be the old rapper sounding old. I want, exactly. I want to like strategically give you good concepts and good bars. I want people to go back and at the end of the day, I tell people I'm literally writing my eulogies. So when you don't, it's nothing else for me to say. I'm no longer here in the physical. You can always go back. I want people to study the work that I've done and some of the stuff I said.
So what you plan to do today for us?
2 poems.
2 poems?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And my understanding, you have some merchandise too.
Yes, I have my shirts, Bugsy Calhoun.
All right.
Printed up by Kelly T-shirts.
Very nice there.
They vinyl. And I have CDs and all kinds of other merch. But this is the new logo. It was done by F.E. Bogart, artist out of Augusta. My last T-shirt, if you was fortunate to get that one, it was also done by another artist out of Augusta, Georgia. I literally have a tattoo, a poet from out of Augusta, Georgia, that was on the back of my 3rd album. I just love, and the guy who does a lot of my tattooing, his name is Spirit, the tattoo poet, and Jared Jenkins, and they're also artists.
The tattoo poet.
So,
yes,
that's interesting.
So your merchandise they could order offline.
You can just
or
order.
They have to catch you in
just
person.
find me. I'm not hard to find. I'm 803-206-3661. I'm on all social media platforms. I do vet my calls, so if I don't recognize the number and you get all this Brooklyn coming at you, don't be afraid. I'll be like, yo, who this?
I hear it.
And they be like, what I calling? I'm like, well, okay, how you doing, ma'am? I will code switch real quick.
Yeah, you know, those robocalls that we be getting, man, I get them all day long.
Yep.
Well, we're excited. We are excited that you're here today, and I can't wait to hear you. I haven't experienced you. I know Kevin said that you came to his church,
thoroughly,
but I haven't experienced it, so I'm excited to see what you're bringing us today.
Yes.
Thank you again for being a part of Music by Ordinary People. Folks, in just a few moments, we're going to come back and we're going to experience Bugsy Calhoun.
Yes.
Peace and blessings.
I'm disconnecting myself from the matrix. I no longer want to be a part of this fakeness of fraudulent fallacies and facades where phony people front like your friends, but in the end, they pray for your demise. You know these guys, they smile in your face. All the while want to take your place, the backstabbers, the bum bastards that be where you at to see you grind and try to steal your shine, but they can't do it like me. They can't get it like mine. I'm designed from a mold that's broken, cut from a different cloth. These copies try to do it like me, but I do it like I'm a boss. Yes, I'm original with authentic material. Lines of design come from a mind manifested from a miracle. So haters, I have no fear of you. Don't like you and don't care for you, because this is not a competition. This is more like an exhibition of the inner workings of one's heart, soul, and mind. Sometimes I ask myself, what am I writing for? Because I find myself getting pent against other people that push pens on paper, like-minded but not like me, you see. My goal and vision for this art form is different. I see spoken word in huge venues with large stages where people come for the word which will inspire them and lead them in amazement, yet we barely pack intimate venues with small stages where poets bare their souls and expose their rib cages. It's like if a tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound if no one's around to hear it. It's going to take unity and perseverance for spoken word to grow. This is what I'm writing for. This is worth fighting for. So when you see us on the road, this is what we're riding for. This is why I live, and yes, this is worth dying for. If you don't believe me, Acts 25, the life, Tavis Brunson, Lady Tess, and a homie Will Bell, cause all the way up to their demise, they kept it real. This is for my spoken word warriors that do this for the love, that come through and represented every spoken word show and club, that come to do a feature for a place to stay or something to eat. They might sell a chapbook, t-shirt, wristband, or CD. They don't sell it for the money. Because when you purchase a poet's product, it's like you get a piece of that poet's. But why is it poets don't get paid for the poetry they produce? It takes hard work and dedication to scribe scripts for the edification of man, woman, and child. Meanwhile, coons get cash for shucking and jiving. I know full-time poets that's barely surviving. Something's got to change where we can reach our potential and attain our goals, maintain our integrity, and still keep our souls. And that's that piece. I want to go back like playing hide and go seek, or Skelly in the street, or when girls play hopscotch with jellies on their feet, and back when we wore 8-ball, triple fat, goose, members only, and starter jackets. Can't forget Hugo Boss, Mecca Maurice Malone, guess used the damage. I want to go back when Will Smith was known as the Fresh Prince, and rappers made songs that made sense, and back when we said our prayers before I went to sleep, because I prayed to the Lord, my soul he keep, on my He-Man Smurf and Sesame Street sheets. I want to take it back in the days of special ed had it made, and Johnny Kemp just got paid, and we had dance battles at the house party like Kid and Play, and we played movies like Wild Style, Crush, Groove, Breaking, and Beat Street. We wore a fresh pair of Lottos, Chucks, and Pumas on our feet, back like the origins of hip-hop. Fat gold chain and the Casio wristwatch, troop suit velour, Fila flip-flops. They playing our Maxell and our TDK tape to our tape pop. Cardboard covered the floor when we break dance the pop lock. When the needle touched the record, you heard mic check 1, 2, and you don't stop. So let's go back in the days of Curtis Blow, ruled the world, and damn near everybody named mama had a Jerry curl. Back like schoolyard fights and riding your dirt bike, and this is how you hollered at that girl you like. Hey, yo, mom, do you like me? Check yes, no, maybe. Because back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Some days I sit and wish I was a... I want to go back like chasing the ice cream truck down the block and block parties, and how your chest burned when you took your first sip of Bacardi at the house party while Slick Rick and Dougie Fresh sang Lottie Dottie. Door knocker earrings, striped shirts, airbrush jeans, and polka dots. Summertime cookouts, pina colada and cherry ices when the icy man came on your block. Boston baked beans, super bubbles, annihilators. Sweaters with press-on letters. We did the WAP, the Running Man, the Patty Duke, and the mashed potato. I want to go back when shell toes was the best shoe. Watching Saturday morning cartoons, Bugs and Tweety, Dungeons and Dragons, and Scooby-Doo. Frosted Flakes, Rice Krispies, and Hella Sugar, and Captain Crunch. Man, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. Lee's Levi's, Jordache, cross colors, and Carl Canaz. We used to say words like he's dope, she's whack, he's fresh, she's fly. We played a dozen so bad we make a little sucker cry. But talk about my mother, you get punched in your eye. I used to watch the old heads on the corner shoot dice, drinking your high. I used to watch Dr. J take it to the sky, and then the game changed when Air Jordan came in '85. We used to rock the seasons with the ball fades, Gumby slopes, flat tops, and corn braids. VD was a sickness before we got hit with HIV/AIDS. I'm talking about the Cold War, Reaganomics, and when crack came out. Low-lives and Decepticons banged out, and we rocked them belt buckles with our name out. Planet Rock on the Himalaya. Rakim was my favorite rhyme sayer. Listening to Marley Marl and Mr. Magic on my boombox tape player. I'm taking it back like fisherman hats, kangos, and gazelles. Where ladies love Cool James was bad, he needed love, and he rocked the bells. Girls used to stand bow-legged with baby powder necks playing, double Dutch rocking, 5411 Reeboks. I remember going to the corner store to buy your Philly blunt and your bamboo paper to roll that joint from the weed spot. I want to go back like red light, green light. Like my first kiss and my first fight. Like you better bring your tail in this house before they turn on them street lights. Because back in the days when I was younger, not a kid anymore. Some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Some days I sit and wish I was a, and everybody say, I remember way back when. Everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. Back in the days, back in the days, back. Lottie-dottie. We likes the party. Check it out. MC the mind, people call me Milk. When I bust up in the party, I feel no guilt. Switch it up. Freaks. Bonita Applebaum, you gotta put me on. Bonita Applebaum said you gotta put me on. Bonita Applebaum, you gotta put me on. Back in the days, back in the days. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again. Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. Some days I sit and wish I wasn't. Everybody say, I remember way back when. Everybody say, I remember way back when. And everybody say, I remember way back when. Back in the days. Back in the days. Thank you. I'm Bugsy Calhoun. Thank you for your time, your listening, and this opportunity. God bless. One love.
Man, thank you so much for coming. That was awesome.
Thank
you so much for coming.
Appreciate it.
Are you going to come back again?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I appreciate the invite. Yes.
So tell our audience one more time what your social media is.
I'm Bugsy Calhoun everywhere on social media. Just
on every one of them, Instagram.
Just put it in Google and I come up.
All right, that'll work.
I got about 3 pages.
So audience, don't forget to subscribe at the button below. We are really excited. We're really trying to build this podcast. So if you just take a couple of seconds, that's all it takes. The subscription is free. So all you got to do is just push the button and you'll be subscribed. So until the next time, stay safe.
KB Music Man, thank you for your participation and cooperation.